and Marana. Bickley and Marana Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Jordan Lawler coined a new term for our baseball team, the Never Say Diamondbacks, and down the stretch they come. 10 games, folks. That's all that's left in one of the strangest seasons we have ever witnessed. And can you imagine the madness if the Diamondbacks hoisted a white flag and a pennant flag in the same season? Now, yeah, that sounds absurd, but no more absurd than a team losing a chunk of its team to injury, then selling off another chunk of its team at deadline, only to be standing on the welcome mat of the postseason with one of the worst bullpens in the sport. Either way, this late push to glory is going to do many things. Number one, it's going to help erase one of the more contentious and grotesque seasons in team history. Number two, it's going to supply hopium for the future, especially with the rising star that is Geraldo Perdomo, and it should guarantee one more year of Tory Lovullo, who can become just the 118th man in history to reach 10 years as a professional manager. Now, his detractors and critics might not want to hear this, but his worst season has brought out his very best at the darkest time, when everybody assumed zombie baseball was going to invade Chase Field. Instead, we've got a real playoff push in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, and this time, the Diamondbacks are playing with house money. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Dan, I think it's a situation now with the team. It comes at an interesting crossroads with Tory Lovullo specifically, because you wrote the piece a couple of weeks ago that like this was a huge month for him, whether it felt like the D-backs were relevant or not. And I'll put my hand up. I thought they were entirely irrelevant at that point. They have proven a lot of us wrong. And I think that's something that I don't want to phrase it this way, but I'm just going to try to anyway, that you kind of have to decide as a sports fan. I think a lot of people lean a different way than I do, is when it comes to your manager or your coach, accepting their faults, I'll put it as, because Tory is not a perfect manager. He has a lot of flaws, but the ceiling and floor kind of argument of it is that floor is if you give him like a scrappy team, it is going to have belief. And something that Zach Gallen talked about when I was there on Monday in the clubhouse is he like paused before talking about Tory and then made sure he was saying his words right, and like giving him credit in a way where Tory is like is great to play for, because something that he will do is like hands off, hands on, like that balance with him is always really good. Like when things are going well and they're vibing in the clubhouse, like he will take him and just let the players like have everything kind of going for them in that kind of way. So a lot of people listening right now would prefer for Tory Lovullo not to be their manager next year, even with this late surge. But sometimes you just have to be accepting of the faults that they have. And again, like the bullpen this year, it's hard to like look at Tory as the top reason why everything is happening right now with the bullpen faults that they have. We do unfortunately live in a world where it is fire this guy, fire that guy. People are calling for Drew Petzing's job after 2 games and they're 2-0 already. It's like one of those types of situations as well. But with Tory, this is just what you are going to get. And again, next year, they're probably going to have somewhat similar a roster that we're looking at right now. And what we're going to talk about is like, okay, this team thrives when there aren't any expectations. They thrive when they have that young athletic energy to them that they refound after the trade deadline here. And that's the type of team that Tory manages the best. And it's been, I don't want to say a remarkable job by him, because again, he bears a lot of responsibility.
No doubt.
The defense has been a disaster this year compared to the very high standard that it's set in previous years. That goes to coaching directly every single time, in my opinion. But with that being said, I think that he has done a solid job this year, but he's making it to a solid point because of what he's done the last couple of weeks.
Listen,
go ahead.
Real quick, just think about this. He can, in a 1 month time frame, he can go from everyone thinking that he should be fired to getting manager of the year votes in the National League.
I don't know if he's going to get that, but I would also...
If they make the playoffs
you're absolutely
with
right.
all the injuries and the trade deadline...
You're absolutely right. Now, but two things can be true at the same time, and this is that point that I made a couple days ago about keeping success and failure very, very close. We all want to either label something good or bad, black or white, success or failure, fire or hire, and sometimes it's a lot more complicated than that. And Torey Lovullo bared a lot of responsibility, in my opinion, for what we saw early. A team that wasn't ready to play out a postseason. I think it was real wishy-washy leadership with that whole opening day starter, and I can only imagine how a clubhouse full of veterans kind of perceive that. And when you bring in new veterans like Corbin Burns and Josh Naylor and Gino Suarez, and the composition of the team is different, a lot of what makes Tory so good with young players, the free love, the hugs, the zen, the let's be vulnerable together. I can see a lot of veterans go, come on, get out of my face with that stuff, right? But now you've got a younger team with less expectations, and in the midst of a time when I honestly thought his goose was cooked. I thought the Ketel Marte incident and Tory's role in enabling Ketel, I've heard some things, and I thought upstairs all the way to the top that was going to cook his goose. This has all changed. The dynamics of all of this have changed because what makes Tory really good with young players has come out right at the end of the season, exactly when you thought that this thing was going to fall apart and crumble. Now, we'll see how this whole thing feels, but I can't imagine at the end of the next couple of weeks that we're suddenly going to be horrifically disappointed in this team again, unless they win their next 7 games and then lose their last 3. Or something like that.
That's the thing. It's like if we do sweep the Giants today and we win 2 out of 3 against the Phillies and all of a sudden we're a half game up, or dare I say like a game up with 3 left against the Padres, and all you have to do is win 2 out of 3 and control your own destiny, that's the only really scenario in which the season can be tarnished and be like, oh my God. Like, it was the Diamondbacks' fault.
I disagree because I feel like we forget how much we react to each game in a baseball season. And there's still enough games left that if they really sort of fade down the stretch now after getting everybody's hopes up, I know you keep saying house money.
That's the way I see it, man.
But that's only because we're living in it right now.
But everybody knows how flawed this team is.
I know. It just feels... I might be not speaking for everyone then. Once you get your hopes up and you see that they could actually make the playoffs, and if they miss out by 1 or 2 games, you're going to start thinking, oh, if they only would have won a couple of those games earlier in the year. Oh, if their bullpen didn't blow it. Oh, if they only could have finished down the stretch and won a couple more. I feel like once you get close, you want it, even if it is house money.
But I think we know what this team is now. And to that point, here's Blaze Alexander last night on the style of baseball they're playing right now.
How would you describe this style of baseball you guys are playing right now?
Just gritty, you know, we're always in it, you know, we're never out of it, you know, we're grinders, you know, and yeah, it's just what we do, man. We make it tough on the, you know, opposing pitchers, and yeah, we're gonna work them.
And I got one more from Corbin Carroll on a similar style as well.
You have Gino hitting a homer every other night. You know, you don't really ask him to bunt. So, yeah, I mean, I think just it's a different team than we had earlier in the year, and you know, I think we've got a very selfless group, and just kind of everyone does what's asked of them, and you know, just have a lot of confidence in whoever's up there to get that job done.
Dan, I want to focus on those 2 cuts because you know this better than me. When managers and coaches are doing a great job, you can see their own personalities embodied by their team, and that does not sound more like Torey Lovullo.
How about it?
Possibly
How about it? That's a great point.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Murata. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.